What's up there, everybody? Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to pick number 15. Yes, the top 15. My favorite albums of the 70s. My favorite 31 albums of the 70s countdown, because of course we are 31 days in the month here in October. It's 2023. We're counting down our favorite albums across all music genres of the 70s. We're combining them all. I'm only doing one pick per any band or artist. That's what I was thinking. But you guys can pick more than one if you so like. It was almost very easy for me to do that, right? But then my entire list would be made up of like 5, 6, or 7 bands or artists in general. So it's like I wanted to give a wide open playing field to get as many cool albums by great artists in here as possible. Today for number 15, it's a debut album by an international band. They got some Americans in the band. They got some Brits in the band, right? Got people from all over the planet. Released November 1971, recorded at CBS Studios in New York City, produced by Mr. John McLaughlin for Columbia Records. I'm talking about The Inner Mounting Flame by the Mahavishnu Orchestra. Yes, indeed. One of the great fusion albums of all time. Call it jazz fusion, call it jazz rock, call it even progressive rock, call it classical rock, right? There's all sorts of stuff going on here. It's always been, considered one of the great fusion albums of all time, but it's a lot more than just that. It's furious, it's delicate, it's brutal, it's gorgeous, it's inspiring. Inspired a lot of albums in its wake, right? It's one of the first great fusion albums of the 70s, comprised of a bunch of players. I mean, this is one of the greatest bands of all time. Sadly, they didn't play together all that long, but John McLaughlin on guitars, Billy Cobham on drums and percussion, Rick Laird on bass, Jan Hammer on keyboards and organ, and Jerry Goodman on violin. Right there you got two guys came from playing with Miles Davis, and 3 at the time sort of unknowns. They wouldn't be unknown for long though, right? Great career Jan Hammer has had post Mahavishnu. Jerry Goodman's done all sorts of cool stuff. Member of the Dixie Dregs for a while, much later on. Rick Laird, the solid bass player, we just lost him not all that long ago. But man, Cobham has done so much before and after. Same thing with McLaughlin. This is just great stuff. All instrumental. Meeting of the Spirits. I remember, I've told this story a million times, but I remember the first time I ever heard this album. I was I think a junior in college, maybe a sophomore, whatever year. So it was either 1985 or 86, something like that. And I was living in off-campus apartment complex, SUNY New Paltz, State University in New York, and New Paltz here in New York. And a friend of mine lived next door. He was a deadhead. And I remember one day, it was in early mid-afternoon, neither one of us had classes, knocks on my door. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" And I'm like, "Not much, just kind of hanging out." He goes, "Want to come over and listen to some tunes?" And I was like, "Cool." Usually when my buddy would give me an invite like that, I usually knew it meant, there'd be other stuff going on in addition to listening to tunes, to get mellow out too, right, whatever. So we did that. He put on this album. I had never heard it before. Never even heard of the band before. I was Pete the Metalhead, right? That's all I listened to, basically. And I was just like, the first opening notes of Meeting of the Spirits came on, and then that blistering, distorted lead guitar work and the violin and all this, the crazy drumming, and I'm like, what in the world is this? And he's like, it's John McLaughlin, man, Mahavishnu Orchestra. And I was like, Mahavishnu Orchestra? Who? And I was just blown away. That was my introduction to jazz fusion, folks, and the world of John McLaughlin and all this great music to follow. And before you know it, I was listening to Steve Morse and the Dixie Dregs and Al Di Meola and Jean-Luc Ponty and Frank Zappa and all this other stuff that kind of falls under this umbrella. That was never the same. Meeting of the Spirits is great. Dawn, absolutely terrific, gorgeous. The Noonwood Race, fast and furious, frantic. A Lotus on Irish Streams, again, intricately woven, such a cool song. Over on side 2, Vital Transformation, The Dance of Maya, You Know, Awakening. You got some funk on here. You got some blistering rock on here. You got this complicated avant-garde jazz on here. It's just what a collection of songs. And it's like, and it's so superbly sequenced that you never really get settled for too long in one certain style before they hit you, bash you over the head with something else. An amazing, amazing album. Just love it to death. As far as charting positions, well, as you can imagine, as a sort of jazz-oriented album, this is not going to be blistering up and down the charts much of anywhere. But here in the States, this made it to number 11 on the jazz charts, and on the regular album charts here in the States made it to number 89. That's not all that bad. No certifications or anything like that. But the influence of the Inner Mounting Flame and the Mahavishnu Orchestra felt long and wide among jazzers and rock players wanting to do a little jazz, and certainly, you know, progressive rock bands. I mean, we've all heard the stories about how bands like Yes and whatnot were like really listening closely to what bands like Mahavishnu Orchestra, Return to Forever, and Weather Report are doing, and incorporating some of that into their musical explorations, right? So, yeah, really influential stuff, and just a terrific album, terrific sounding album, and just the depth of all the different musical elements that are going on here still fascinate me all these years later. I mean, literally almost 40 years later, that I'm still hearing new things and discovering new intricacies about this album. You know, Birds of Fire, the one that came after, also really, really good too, but I always kind of lean towards this one, so that's why this is my pick for today. My favorite Mahavishnu Orchestra album. It's my number 15th favorite album of the 70s in general, so let us know what you think of this one down in the comments below. If you've never listened to it, please go check it out. It's amazing. The Inner Mounting Flame from the Mahavishnu Orchestra. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, get the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as our merch page and our Cameo page. So thanks in advance for all your support there. And we'll see you soon here with more stuff. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tune in tomorrow for pick number 14. Till then, have a good one. Stay tuned for In the Prog Seat tonight. It's album study week. We're going to be having a big discussion on Brand X. Speaking of great fusion bands, Brand X, Unorthodox Behavior, their debut, one of the great fusion albums of the 70s, starring Phil Collins and company. Check it out tonight. Till then, I'm Pete Pardo. Bye-bye.